So, what are some of our adaptogens? Now, what I want to note here is that, again, true adaptogens, probable adaptogens, possible adaptogens. So the true adaptogens, generally, we think American ginseng, which is our Panax quinquefolius, Asian ginseng or Panax ginseng, Eleuthero, aka Siberian ginseng, that's Eleutherococcus senticosus, rhodiola, rhodiola rosea, ashwagandha, Withania somnifera, schizandra, Schizandra chinensis, cordyceps, the cordyceps mushroom, shilajit, which is the like a mineral pitch. It's not really an herb. It's more of the mineral pitch. And in my opinion, all shilajit comes from the Himalayas. There's claims of other shilajits coming from other ranges. I don't think that's quite accurate. And then another herb, one I'm actually not quite as familiar with, but called raponticum, is another classically defined true adaptogen. Now, these all have their interesting nuances, right? Asian ginseng, the red Asian ginseng, tends to be significantly more warming than the white Asian ginseng, which is not as warming and a little more moistening. Rhodiola, very, very dry. You're much more likely to overstimulate people with rhodiola. Schizandra, incredibly antioxidant, powerful immune tonic, incredible herb for the liver, great lung trophorestorative. I love Schizandra. This is a fantastic plant. Also very, very astringent, very, very drying. So these all have their nuances in terms of energetics, in terms of their unique focus. I love ashwagandha here because I find it to be, it's strong, but it's gentle in a way. It's not, you're less likely to overstimulate someone with ashwagandha. I love its influence on the nervous system. I also love ashwagandha's application for autoimmune conditions that specifically influence the muscles. So myalgias, various muscle aches and pains, ashwagandha is very useful there for autoimmune conditions that specifically influence the muscles, as well as those that influence the nerves. So again, each of these herbs have their nuances that have to be understood to use them correctly. Probable adaptogens, we have herbs like Holy Basil, fantastic herb, lots of interesting actions of that herb, nootropic, has some antimicrobial properties. It's just like a mint, great digestive, carminative, very good influence on the immune system, the lungs, the nervous system, blood sugar regulation, of course, very useful property there. Shatavari, this is the Ayurvedic asparagus root, very similar to the Chinese asparagus root. This herb is classically used as a female reproductive trophorestorative. I like it because it's very moistening, very nourishing and building and strengthening. There's lots of other herbs in the Chinese materia medica that are generally considered probable adaptogens, such as tianqi ginseng, cinnamomum, sistanchi, and morinda. And then we have possible adaptogens, such as Codonopsis. This is Codonopsis pilosula. I really like this herb a lot. It's called the, quote, poor man's ginseng. Significantly, ginseng is very expensive. Codonopsis, much cheaper, much milder, but very, very nice, good sweet tonic, good root. I really like Codonopsis a lot. We have Epimedium, aka Horny Goat Weed. Of course, everybody uses that herb as an aphrodisiac in the supplement industry, but it does appear to have some possible adaptogenic qualities. There's other herbs here, such as Reishi, maca, licorice root, jaugulan, guduchi from Ayurvedic medicine, Many of these herbs are possible adaptogens. And again, they all have their interesting and dynamic nuances. Licorice is very moistening, very good respiratory remedy. It's cortisol sparing. So it has prolongs the effect of cortisol. Reishi, powerful immune amphoteric and immunoregulator. Very, very good respiratory herb, liver herb. HPA axis, not so sure about Reishi's influence there. It seems to be more immunologically oriented. My point is, though, is that not all adaptogens are created equal. So we have more of our, and some of the other distinctions that I like would be, okay, which ones are our calming adaptogens? We've got things like ashwagandha, schisandra, in moderate, lower to moderate doses. In very high doses, schisandra can be stimulating. Jiaogulan, cordyceps, these all tend to be calming. Again, cordyceps can be quite stimulating if taken in really high doses. Others can be very, very stimulating. In my opinion, rhodiola is one of the most stimulating. The red Asian ginseng can be very stimulating. American ginseng can be. Eleuthero can be if taken in very high doses. Some tend to have more milder effects, like Eleuthero in moderate doses. Some tend to be very strong, like the Asian ginseng. American ginseng, quite strong too. Some are moistening, so American ginseng, moistening, white Asian ginseng, Shatavari, cordyceps. Others are very, very drying. Rhodiola. This is, I mean, everybody overlooks this fact about rhodiola. That herb is very, very astringent. It's incredibly drying. Don't ever use rhodiola in someone with a dry constitution. It's just going to aggravate them. Schisandra, also very, very astringent and drying. Now, energetically, we find most adaptogens tend to be warm to hot in their temperature energetic. A few are cooling, so rhodiola is a little more cooling. Eleuthero is a little more neutral. Jiaogulan is a little more neutral, but most tend to be warming in their energetic. Now, some other differentials for adaptogens would be traditional like age ranges. So traditionally, something like Asian ginseng was only given to elderly people, right? Typically, 65 plus, maybe 65 is not considered elderly. Sorry if that's offensive to anyone. But right, it's not usually given to 20-year-olds. So generally, but you can give it to younger people if they have pushed themselves so hard that they've aged like they're in their 60s or something like that. So, and that's something that we really see with modern culture is that people can push themselves so hard that they age rapidly, at which point, if their physiological state is that of someone that would be more elderly, then some of those herbs can be applied. But generally speaking, some of these stronger ones generally should be reserved for people that are older, significantly more deficient, weak, depleted, cold, whereas some of the milder ones can be more beneficial for people that are younger to middle-aged. I tend to like Eleuthero there. I like ashwagandha there. Those are some of the primary ones that I like to use.